Good afternoon. You're listening to Mother's Justice Show. I'm so anxious to get started on 11:50 a.m. KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on there. I just actually really do enjoy being on the radio. So we got a great show today. We got a great lineup. We have Detective Cookie. I call it Cookie Detective Denise Cookie Bouldin from the SPD. She's going to be on for a while talking. Then we get an update about what's going on in the country. We know what's going on in the country, but I bring my guests on. This is her first time on. So welcome, Detective Cookie. So welcome to Mother's Justice Show.
Yes, this is wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me to be a part of your show.
Well, yes, because I wanted my listeners to know about all the good work you're doing actually in the community. And that's Sunday, which was yesterday. I missed a big event that was happening about not only about you, but the efforts that you've been doing. And so I wanted people to just hear from you, but also you just want to give a little update who you are, give our listeners information on who you are and how long you've been on the force and, and what keeps you going, and then we'll get into all the other good work.
Okay. I'm Detective Cookie. I'm trying to make sure I got my phone connected right here so I can see you guys and you can see me. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Yeah, okay. See you. Yes, thank you.
Yes. So I'm Detective Cookie with the Seattle Police Department. I'm assigned to the Community Outreach Unit. And my job is basically to do a lot of community events, go to meetings, participate in events, and also help solve problems that community members may be having. That's not, it's not at a criminal level, but maybe I can help them to solve a particular problem. And then also I do several speaking engagements. So if somebody wants me to speak at an event, just let me know.
Wow. And how long have you been with SPD?
A long time. I have been on this department for going on 44 years.
44 years. That's 2 years. I've been in Seattle. I've been here since 1975. So it was right. So you went on the force in the 70s. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yes. Well, you're probably one of the longest African-American employees there on the department. Mm-hmm.
I am. I believe I went into the academy in 1979 and graduated in 1980 because I was the end part of the year. In February is when I graduated of 1980.
So were you there before Detective Pat Haynes? Were you the first one? You were there before her? Okay.
Yes, I was there before
that. Wow. Well, this is history because, one of the things that I always let people know, true transparency. I always let people, let my listeners know who I really know. I mean, people, my guests who I already know in the community. And so I've been knowing you for a long time in the community. And always, if we weren't doing anything together, we would be at the coat drives and the food drives at KRSC. We always was there. We used to have lots of fun doing those days. I mean, I think it still go on, but I haven't been out there. The last 2 years it's been hard on all of us, but we always would meet up there because you would come out to the car to get the whatever people were bringing in, and you were a staple in the community. I just want people to know that, because sometimes we get this impression that all police are whatever, but that's not true. I mean, you got police officers that's been on the force all over the country, and a lot of those officers have never actually been anything but just going to work every day and doing the best job they can do. And that's what I think about you. But just for aside for our listeners, I want to just talk for just kind of like go off our script here for just a few minutes, because we also had a wonderful opportunity to work with African American women and the Black police women. And,
I remember. That's right.
We had, we were doing that before the former chief was even before she was a captain. We started that when she was a lieutenant. I mean, before she got, she was, I think she was just maybe getting ready to be a captain, but we just had such a good time with those young girls and the field trips we went on. And you remember you were with us when we went up to see up to the tulips, Mount Vernon.
And that was so wonderful. And those girls that went to that, the students that went to that event, They were so impressed just going to the Tulip Festival. They had never been
No,
there.
they had
And
never
it's
been.
just amazing how our kids don't get the opportunity to get out of their neighborhood and just to go to the Tulip Festival. It was amazing. They just never seen anything like that. They started visualizing how they're going to do their garden when they get a garden and on and on.
Yeah.
It was such a beautiful event. And then we took them to the, remember we took them to the Pompeii event?
Yeah, we went to the last days of Pompeii over there. And then another group with, I don't know if you went on that trip, but my daughter-in-law, Tasha, and a few people took them over in Eastern Washington, across over there. It was something that they went to. But we did a lot with the young girls. We really did. We opened up their vistas. Also, it was a partnership with Parks because they provided the vans. But we actually did a lot because to see them, and it rained that whole day. And you know what? I was asking.
And it didn't matter.
It didn't matter. They were down in the mud looking at those
tulips.
The tulips, because
the beauty of the tulips and all the colors.
That's right, all of the colors. Yeah.
And I still have the video of that. If you ever.
Well, you know what I did? Like, can we share that sometime? Because I'd like to show it in the community.
Oh my God, it's so beautiful. I have a video of that, and also, and I think we combined the video of that and also the video of the Pompeii. And you know where else we took them? We took them to the King Tut.
That's right, the King Tut
exhibit. And it was just wonderful.
It was. And then we took them on the department. We took them to lunch in little corners up after they left the Tulip. We took them to lunch, and we changed their lives. And that's what you're doing. If you change their lives up front, we don't have to be on the other end of the spectrum, because they're not going to be there. They're not going to be there.
Reverend Weldon, the good thing about what you and I and the other ladies who was involved in this, and I believe
Sherry Day was there.
Wasn't Vicky part of this, who's now in charge of the African American Advisory Council? I believe she also.
Well, I think she came in, but she wasn't. She didn't go to the trips with us when we went to.
Right, but she would come to the meetings and help us plan. The whole thing is what people got to realize, and I want the community to always want to give to these kind of projects. The girls didn't have to worry about anything. Their parents didn't have to worry that they had to pay for the tickets. They had to pay for the transportation. We managed to get all the funds to do that.
Yes, we did.
And I want to give a shout out to the Seattle Parks Department, because the Seattle Parks Department, they are so good in being a partner. They will work with you. They gave us their drivers. Their employees to drive the vans.
That's right.
We had.
Yeah,
and then not only that, they gave us the space to meet. And then afterwards, we had our end of the year or end of that journey event. But the Parks Department is always there, willing to work. And I know that for sure, because especially I work mostly out of the Rainier Beach Community Center, and the staff members are fabulous there, and they're just so good at working with you. But I would say that about all the staff on the Seattle Parks.
You're right about that. And then I just said Vicky was there helping us plan. I don't think she didn't get to go in any trips with them. She was absolutely there helping us plan.
Yeah, and
it was just a handful of women. But we did so much. I mean, remember we had a Black History program, and that's the first time when they brought the taps. I mean, the first time that she used to work for the department. She does Northwest taps.
That's
she brought the kids. Huh? Melba brought the kids. Yeah, Melba brought the kids.
Melba Aco. Yeah, she has. That's right. She's the owner and director of Tap Connection, Northwest Tap Connection.
Yes, she brought the young people there for our program, our first program, and then our very last program we did was at it was a history of policing and Black policing in Seattle.
And we did that at the library.
That's right. And O2 came through, and we had the oldest lady in Seattle there. I can't think of her name now, but she was born the same year that the NAACP started this chapter. Then she was 100, almost 100 then. Our thing, but and our goal was to get passports for those young girls, because we wanted to take them to Canada, because we felt if they could ever get out of America and get a passport, and then you make a relationship with the Black police women up in Canada, they could say they went international.
Yeah.
Out of America, and that we didn't get to do that piece, but because we know they'd be on the right road, they would have gone somewhere international. They had one stamp in their passport, and they they would have to have a passport. So that, and I went out and got all the passports as applications, because we were hoping to get the 15 girls to go and get a field trip and all of that stuff. But also I wanted to acknowledge you for all the all city dance that we did for peace with the Silent War campaign, breaking the silence on violence, and then Kun Love and all the people that was there. That was successful. We had many all city dance for peace after school, after the end of the school year.
And all the schools were invited, and they came, and the police was there. We were there to have fun. Some of us was out there dancing with them, but it was fun, and it was
chaperoned, and the school had to sign off on the chaperone. I mean, they had to sign off on the paper with their parents. And right. I mean, we've done this in this town, and all the kids got home. I thought the Metro was trying to help us too, to make sure for transportation. So, I mean, just for all that you have been involved in Seattle, and to be making sure that it's safety, because everything you've been involved in, everything we're talking about right now is how to create a safe environment for our children. And we did a lot of this stuff on the day you would call a bill budget.
yes. And we made it work. The whole thing, we came together, we saw a need, and it was mothers. All of us are mothers in some kind of way. All of us have a mother. If you're not a mother, you have a mother. And you know, children, that how much one little something can help a person to want to go to the next level. Like, it's just important for us to do that. We got together and we made it happen. We had lots and lots of meetings, but the meetings were constructive. Our meeting was very constructive.
That's right.
We had an agenda, we stuck to it, and we had a plan, and then we made it work. And then we would,
and people came in between,
and we would do it again with another event.
Well, but also everybody worked in such a unity until they would do the community center wasn't open. I mean, they came in to open the community center for us because it wasn't time to open it. Some of those times, and then it was such a great time to be able to see what Black women and African American women on the police force could absolutely come together in Seattle. And I got our pamphlets, I got our mission statement, I still have all of that. But I'd like for you, eventually to be able to share this up, because if we could share this out in the community, we can break some of this stuff down, because people just got this misnomer that every time SPD get called on, even on crisis intervention, people die. I mean, and all this mythology that's not true. Really it's not true. And so we would have something to show that, that's not true. But again, you go back to the lives changed. We see, I know that travel changes children's lives. And my children, they traveled around the world and with an atlas and National Geographic. Maya's on his way back. He just came back today from Tanzania. Okay, my youngest son that does the morning update show. So it's like, wow. Who does Converge Media. And so travel, being able to go out of your own environment is so important. It's one of the most important things that can happen to young people, is to get that adventurous spirit. And that's what we did for those girls. And to see them. And then the chief was always there. She got to be a chief, she was there.
Yeah, she was the deputy. She was the deputy chief at the time. And then we had a couple other Black female officers that was participating to help put this together. I think altogether was about 4 or 5 of us, including Carmen Vest. And just great leaders like yourself and other leaders within the community that were female. But we wanted to do something for the females, and mainly because a lot of times everything is focused on the boys. There's something for the boys, outreach for the boys, special programs for the boys. And we wanted to do something for the girls, because sometimes if you don't give them something to do or focus on them, they would act out just to get that attention. So we wanted to make these ladies leaders, and they conducted themselves as leaders throughout the whole thing.
That's right. That's right. Because one of the things that we often said, and we said this in this group, is that we give a lot of attention to the other children who might not be making it. But if we could give more attention to the young people who are making it, well, then one of the things is that other people will want to become one. Other people would want to be involved, and that's what I really believe. That when we after we take a break and come back and you talk about what you're doing on your other work, but I do believe that positiveness is contagious. I do believe that every step on the road to teach a child to be positive and look at life in a different way, we wouldn't have 2 18-year-olds right now charged with a massive crime because they thought they've been taught something else or whatever.
And they do what they learn, and they do what they see in their environment and in their household. But those girls that we took, I'm gonna just say this and I'm gonna be through with that part. But these girls that we brought in, and most of them were good girls, but we also brought in at-risk girls as well. And it was amazing how those at-risk girls started wanting to be like the girls that didn't get in trouble. And they started behaving and practicing good skills and changed their lives around. They didn't want to hang out on the streets and hang out and do things that maybe they were doing before. They started learning that they wanted to be like, even like us. They wanted to be like.
Well, a couple of them did want to be police officers because Chief Bess at that time was, she was deputy chief, going to be chief. But she reached out to me and let me know that some of the girls that was interested. But see, we opened the opportunity for them to understand to move past the rhetoric that they might have heard, to see people as human beings. And I maintain, once you get to meet somebody on a human level, then your life changed. Just like that horrible event that happened on Halloween night many years ago when the police officer they said a female was in the car. So what were we doing? We were saying was Cookie in the car, because we know a female officer, and we wanted to know were you in that car. And people were calling, people were trying to get to you to find out were you okay, and then you say, "Oh yeah, I'm okay."
I received so many phone calls, and I believe you called me as well, Reverend Walden, one of the first.
I did.
Because
I first heard about it too.
It wasn't me that was in that police car.
Right, that's right. And the female did not get injured at that time, but we know that the officer lost his life. And I think a lot of us were saying, he was just sitting in his car, a parked car, and I had my business on the road. And a lot of times I would pull over on the freeway, pull over on the side and park my car. And one day a black trooper knocked on my window, and I rolled down my window. He said, "Ma'am, move your car right away." He said, "Because you don't know, sometimes a semi loses a wheel or something." He said, "You in danger, ma'am." And then he looked at me and he gets put, "I don't ever want to see you doing this again." Okay, he did his little police stuff on me, his highway patrol stuff on me after that. But he got my attention, and I never did that again. He said, "Ma'am, always go to a rest stop." And I was just being contrary. I didn't want to go to a rest stop. I just pulled off. So he educated me, number one, that my life was in danger, because sometimes cars run off the freeway and they hit parked cars and people lose their life. So I appreciate the fact that he educated me.
Or they get distracted looking at that parked car and the car gets out of control.
That's right. And so he educated me, but also he cared about me.
Yes,
because other highway patrols might have passed me and did not stop.
Absolutely.
But he did. And so because of the way that he approached and the education that I got, I was on the road for 25 years. And after, at some point in that journey, when he told me that, I never did it again. I never did it again, because he said, a lot of times you hear about somebody, you just never know what can happen to somebody that have their car parked on the side. And then, sometimes people have gotten out that car and injured. And sometimes people have been killed, getting out that car that's parked on the side, So anyway, I really appreciated that kindness and and that stuff. And that's what you bring too. But let's take a break and come back here and just continue.
And then, Reverend Walden, I want to first, when we come back, I want to say how I remember first meeting you.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, you listen to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. We'll be right back.
Market Street Shoes is happy to sponsor the Mother's Justice Show in honor of our mother, Jackie Higgins Rosebrook, who spent her life fighting for social justice, and also in honor of all mothers who fight for social justice. Market Street Shoes, fashionable footwear and apparel for life's everyday adventures, in the heart of Ballard since 2006. Visit marketstreetshoes.com.
The life of every child is precious. If you care for a child or teenager with a disability and have limited income and resources, they may qualify for monthly cash payments through the Supplemental Security Income Program, or SSI. Call Social Security at 1-800-772-1213 or visit ssa.gov/SSI-Kids to learn more. That's ssa.gov/SSI-Kids. Message produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Hi, this is Dr. K. Mahina Intron, inviting you to tune in on Mondays on 1150 KKNW at 5 p.m. to Dr. K's Attuning to Your Abundance, where we honor everyday abundance through positive messages, poetry, music, affirmations, and writing exercises. For more information, contact Dr. K Workshops at gmail.com or Facebook, Dr. K's Abundance.
Easy on the ears, good for the soul. Alternative Talk 1150.
Good afternoon. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on the air. Bring back my guest here right away. This is our Detective Denise. We call her Cookie. Been on the police force. We won't even talk about that.
That's right. We won't say nothing about that.
We won't say that
Long
about
time,
that. But I tell everybody it's over generations. How is that?
Yes.
So, and I wanted to thank my studio manager. You always put on the appropriate song. I just love Ruthie Foster, and that song is "I Want to Be Ready When Joy Comes Back." So, thank you. So we having that kind of talk today. But
Yes.
This is good. This is good. So. We met a long time ago.
Yes, I remember meeting you, Reverend Walden. It was at a meeting, and I think I had been on for maybe 3 years at that point. And it was you was with Mothers Against Police Harassment.
Well, I started in 90. I started in 1990 when we started Mothers Against Police. 90. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you already had that in existence. So I was working in the North End and at another precinct, but right. I had came to a meeting, and I believe, and I don't know if it was the African American Advisory Council had started way back then.
No, it didn't start that. That started with Norm Stamper. And then Norm Stamper brought that. When I started, Fitzsimon was the chief. Fitzsimon was the police chief when I started.
Okay. So I came to one of your meetings, and you started talking about the Mothers Against Police Harassment and whatnot. And when we finished the meeting, I remember going up to you and just saying how proud I was of you, and I'm so glad that you have outlet as Mothers Against Police Harassment. It gives mother, father, anybody a chance to have somewhere to vent if they're being harassed. And growing up in Chicago in the project with 5 brothers, I know the feeling. I know. And I was just so glad that you was doing that. Yes.
Well, that's because my kids got beat up. So
stay away. You want to stay away from her because she hate police officers. And I'm like, that's not what it's about. Now, I had to school them and educate them.
Well, yeah, and that was a mythology for a long time. That mythology didn't change over the years for a long time. And then, we stood up for Garth Haynes. I mean, we were Mothers for Police Accountability then. We stood up for him because what?
And just tell him Garth Haynes is a police officer, Black police officer in Seattle that was being harassed, basically, or treated.
No, he was being beat up. No. He was being beat up out there, and it was just 2 minutes from almost taking his gun. Him and his friend, we got beat up by some skinheads, and then he was being charged with a crime, and the skinheads wasn't being charged with nothing. And so we intervened in that case. I mean, we got a petition. We went to court every day. I mean, because really, it was unright. And they were trying to act like the Black police officers was the problem.
He was trying to protect
He was
himself
trying to protect himself
and then
and
his
his friend.
jacket that was stolen and
That's right. That's
and
right.
then
That's right.
he ended up getting
Mhm.
charged.
Right, and he was being charged with a crime, and then then the city settled that case, and so not only did the skinheads beat him up, they got $75,000 from the city for settling that case, and
I
so
didn't know that.
oh yeah, they settled the case out of instead of going to trial on that case. It's like wow, and it went out, and it was so. Not only were we there for people on the outside, but we have been a voice for officers on the inside. I mean, over
Absolutely.
time, I mean, because we're straight shooters, we call it like we
Yeah.
see. Now,
And
if
I
you
know
got,
that as a fact. That's true.
and if
Definitely.
you got a lot of stuff in your jacket, this against us, and we're not doing that. But if you're a good officer, you've been out in the community, and you're doing the best you can, and this stuff comes up, well, yeah, we stand up for you. I mean, because we always want to be on the right side of history. And again, the mythology out there is that all the police officers are just one way, and that we say no, that's not true. We know too many of them. We know too many of these officers. And I presented at Blue Conference one time. I've never been to Noble, but I hear a lot about it from one of the people who actually love Noble. You know what
As
I'm
a
talking
matter of
about.
fact, I put it in my paperwork today. I was working on it just now to go to the next Noble conference.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
down in Florida, so I
Yeah.
might go. I might
You
mention
should
it today.
go.
That's my home state, so I'm from Florida.
We
So
can
I'm
travel
thinking about it.
together. You should go. You should go. We should travel together.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking about it. I'll make my decision between now and tomorrow. But again, a lot of Black officers go into it because, like you say, what you saw stuff going on. I mean, in Chicago and stuff, and a lot of people want to make a difference. And I mean, you're one of those officers who want to make a difference, who's making a difference. So anyway, I'm gonna let us lead into why I asked you why to be on the show today, is because it's been years ago that you came up with this idea to help young people. To help them. I always called it an anti-violence program because you has helped, I don't know, you'll be able to tell lots of young people learn how to play chess. And one thing about it is strategic, it's thinking. You can't be emotional. You got to pay attention. It's all these things that make this helpful for young people to get to the next level. You got to be paying attention. You got to think. You can't be swayed by other people's opinion. If somebody say, no, don't move it this way, they could be trying to trick you.
That's right.
So you have to be focused. And with all that's going on in the world, I mean, I didn't have as much going on because number one, I was raised without a television or a telephone. So I didn't have any of that. So, but all this stuff that they have going on today, it's like, wow, and a lot of times the parents are not as engaged. I mean, I believe when I was raising my children in the city with no family, I believe it was my personal responsibility to know where my children was at all times. I believe that. I believe that. I was country enough to know that it was my responsibility. I didn't have a car. The number 48 used to go from West Seattle all the way to Ballot. So we used to call it a white limousine. Because it went across town. It was the only crosstown bus you could get in those days. And so I had to know where my children were. I didn't know other people didn't take that responsibility serious. I had to know where my children was. It was my responsibility. And if they're supposed to be home at 10 o'clock, they get home at 10:01. You ain't going the next time.
That's
They
right.
knew that.
That's right. And they knew.
I mean, they absolutely knew that. And then if you're going to call me at 9:30 and say, you want to spend the night? No, you don't spend the night at nobody's house during the weekdays. And so you can never call and tell me you're going to be late. All of that. That means you just don't go the next time. But what you have done, I want to entree you on now about the chess park and all that happened yesterday and what has led up to this month. And then my son just posted something on his Facebook page about the Cairo. Cairo was there. And it's a segment. He posted it on my Facebook page, on his Facebook, and I posted it on Mother's page a few minutes ago about the Cairo interview. So just talk a little. Let's hear about Let's hear about this chess part, because it's the only one in the country like this. So yeah, it's exciting. Let's talk about it.
Yes. And it all started when I was trying to do an event for kids in the community. My sergeant had said, put something together for the kids. So I put together a basketball game for the teenagers to play police officers. And so that was taking place at the Rainier Community Center. And we went and had this little tournament with the teens and the police officers. And I tell you, the police officers, they were guys who were just out of, college. They played ball in college, and they played semi-professional balls, and they were just proud of themselves because they had their own little police basketball team at the time. And so they wanted to play. And when we did play, the police were beating the kids in the game. They were winning by a lot. Because I think the teens were surprised that the officers knew how to play ball. So during halftime, we were way ahead of the teens. But when it came back after halftime, the kids, I tell you, those teenagers never got tired. They still had the same much energy that they had at the beginning. The officers kind of were worn down. They were out of breath. They were breathing hard. And the teenagers, they beat us by a landslide. They took over and just never got tired. And it was so much fun. And they got to meet the officers and see them in a different capacity. And so that was nice. So the following year, I was asked to put together something. I'm like, okay, let's do that again since it worked. So I went to a bunch of kids, and it must have been like 30 kids at a summer event. And I said, okay, we're going to put together another basketball game. So one of the kids said, hey, we're not all just about basketball. We don't want to do another basketball game. Not all of us play basketball. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, what would you like to do? And one of the kids, or a couple of them, said, how about a chess tournament? And I'm like, chess? And I'm thinking in my head, I don't know how to play chess. As a matter of fact, I hate the game of chess. I have tried to play it and I just can't get it. I can't figure out how all those pieces move. I can't keep all that in my mind all at once. So I didn't like the game. But since that's what they wanted, I wanted to make it happen. So I said, okay. And again, the Seattle Parks Department came through. They let me use the park. They provided me with a few chess boards. And we had this chess tournament. And about 20 kids said this is what they wanted. So when it was time to play, only about 2 or 3 kids actually knew how to play chess. The rest of them just stood around and watched. And I'm like, why would you guys say you want to have chess in a chess tournament if you don't know how to play? And so I'm thinking in my mind, I got these kids who probably really want to play chess and they just don't know how. And I don't know how to teach them. And so I got a small grant from the Seattle Foundation, and then later on from the Seattle Police Foundation as well, to hire an instructor. So I hired a college student to teach the class. And later on, I ended up hiring an adult to teach the class. And the Rainier Beach Library, another partner that stepped up to the plate, gave me a room and said, yes, you can do this. We love that. Go ahead. You can have a room on whatever day. And so I told the kids had already told me they wanted to do this and they were going to come. So the date, I had given them the date probably a month ago. So when that date came, only about 3 kids showed up. And I'm like, oh no, this is going to be a disaster. But I soon realized you can't tell teenagers a date of something that's going to happen a month ahead of time.
Right.
And expect for them to remember it and just show up. So I made flyers. I started putting flyers on cars, on the windshield, taking them to the grocery stores, dropping them off at school, just passing them out. And then I would have like probably 10 people showing up, kids. Then the next time, 15, 20, 40. I've had as many as over 60 kids show up at the Rainier Beach Library to play chess. It was so many kids, I didn't have chess boards. And so the community heard I didn't have enough chess boards, and they started donating chess boards. So now I didn't have enough room to play chess. Right. So many kids. So I had to start putting chess boards on the floor for the kids to play. So they're on the floor, sitting on the floor playing chess. It was such a success. But I also knew that a lot of times I would have food. I would have food, pizza, chicken, or some type of food for the kids. And I do that because I realized several kids don't eat on the weekends.
Right.
They eat during school days. They get the school breakfast, school lunch, and maybe a school snack. Then they go home and wait to eat again when they come to school,
Wow.
because they have no dinner or very little dinner. But some of them on the weekend, they hardly have anything. So they would come to learn how to play chess just so they can get some food. And when I find out, kids that's like that, I make sure I give them something to take home, or I started, figuring out through the social services without getting social services involved, finding
Right.
out how I can make sure this kid is going to get a bag of groceries to take home on Fridays after school.
Oh, wow.
So, it's ways we just got to think out of the box. And a
Right.
way to do it so that they're not embarrassed, maybe put it in a backpack, or
Right.
maybe even I'll drop it off at their house and,
Right.
give it to them. But that was the beginning of the Detective Cookie's Chess Club. And the kids said, we want to have this more than just on Tuesday or during the week. So I said, okay, we would have it on Saturday. And this is when the Parks Department stepped up again. And they gave me a room at the Rainier Beach Community Center. They gave me a large room to have chess. And I have been doing chess there, I want to say, for over 10 years. And I started chess
Right.
in 2006. So,
That's right.
yeah, way over 10 years. And I have been in partnership with the Seattle Public Schools, Seattle Public Library and the Seattle Parks Department. And at the time, I was also teaching in the public school. And just as you had mentioned, Reverend Walden, it was called the Detective Cookie's Anti-Violence / Chess Club.
That's right. That's right.
I would teach skills on how to say no and how to avoid danger. I would teach making good decisions, consequences of your action. I had probably about 9 subject lessons that I would teach. And when I finished that whole lesson, we switched over and started playing chess. And I would use the chess board and tell the kids, this is a community. This board is your community. And you got to make some good decisions. Just like in the real world, somebody's trying to get you to do drugs or join a gang. You got to be able to quickly make your decision and make the best decision. Pick which one is the best.
Yeah.
And so then I had the chess club going on, and I had a community member, her name was Maya Sagur. She came up to me. She was the president of the Rainier Beach Community Coalition or something like that at the time. And she asked me, she said, if you had your wish, what would you like to see more for your chess club? And I said, it would be so nice if we had a park, if they would build a park in Seattle for where people can play chess in our community. And so I never knew what she was thinking. So then later on, I find out that, they got together and they're going to raise money. They want to build a park called the Detective Cookie's Chess Park. And so they got a committee together called the Friends of Detective Cookie's Chess Park. And these group of people got together and got people to donate, and now we have enough money raised for this park, and it's gorgeous. If you go online, put in Detective Cookie's Chess Park, you can see the diagram or design of how it's going to look. So
I'll do that. So
yeah. So the big thing
we got a couple more minutes. So yes.
Oh, okay. The big thing that happened yesterday is that we had the groundbreaking for the Detective Cookie's Chess Park, and so many people showed up. I was so happy. I had all these kids around me, and I didn't just want to be the one to dig in the ground. I brought all the kids. I said, we all own this. Community members, you all come. We're going to all dig this dirt and say that we helped to build this by just digging that dirt. You help. So I'm so happy. Thank you, guys.
But what you demonstrated is our children were created positive, and we know that they'll create negative, because we were born to create and make us
Yes.
that way. We were
Yes.
born to create. We wasn't just born to just stay in a closet and not do anything. But how you create, you can create to be a benefit for life, or you can create to be a person who takes life. And and so, I mean, because you're going to create, that's what the world is about. But what you've done is given our young people an opportunity to create what's positive and to be able to control themselves in a disciplined way. Because without discipline and respect for authority and knowing how to cooperate and collaborate, you're not going to be successful.
Absolutely.
And authority, not also for just for police, I'm talking about the word, just authority. Because even if you have a boss at work, it's going to always be somebody giving you some instruction. Even if you're self-employed, if you get to the wedding and the cake is falling off, you ain't going to get paid. No matter, it's always going to be somebody over you. And so they've learned the lessons of life. And that's what's so important. That's why I wanted people to understand it, to see who you are. And then probably a lot of people already saw it on television, but to congratulate you on one of the best violence prevention peacemaking programs. It's a peacemaking program, and you've done successful like that. And I'm really, really proud to see how you parlayed that, into something that's a win. And our children need to have a win. And you've making sure that they have a win. And the ones who might have been in trouble, they do not. I want people to know, people who go to your children who go to your program do not re-offend. They do not, because they got control of themselves. And they understand that there's a future for them. And now you had Black kids that went be the world champion in chess. And so you open that door to think, oh no, it's just not other people. And if you go back further in time, you might see that it came from someplace else. And you always had people that looked like us that was playing it. So you've done a wonderful job.
Yes. And I have one of my kids in medical school right now. He called me to tell me that he's now in medical school. He wanted to thank me for keeping him out of the games and on and on. And another one is a professor at one of our local colleges.
Well, see, that's right. This is a story that has to be told. And I just want to congratulate you. Thank you for the work. I'm sorry I wasn't there yesterday. That things didn't work out for me to be there. But I said, well, and my show that I had for the day didn't evolve the way I wanted it. So creator say, well, call up Detective Cookie.
That's right.
She had something that she could talk about. So really appreciate you, and I want to thank you for being my guest on the Mother's Justice Show, and we'll have you back at another time for sure.
Okay, thank you so much. And I want
welcome.
Everybody to come when we have the grand opening. I want a big show.
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you, Reverend Walden.
You're welcome. Thank you. We're going to take a break right now. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. We'll be right back.
Market Street Shoes is happy to sponsor the Mother's Justice Show in honor of our mother, Jackie Higgins Rosebrook, who spent her life fighting for social justice, and also in honor of all mothers who fight for social justice. Market Street Shoes, fashionable footwear and apparel for life's everyday adventures, in the heart of Ballard since 2006. Visit marketstreetshoes.com.
Good afternoon. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on there. I want to bring on my local civil rights activist, and not only local, he's national and maybe even international known, Mr. Eddie Rye. We don't have as much time as we usually have for you, but because we had Detective Cookie on with all their good news. So, hey, come on on, Mr. Rye. Give us an update. What's happening in the world?
Well, the first thing I want to do is congratulate Detective Cookie for the groundbreaking I saw on TV yesterday for the chess park. So it's good to have those kind of things happening so we can encourage people to do the right thing as opposed to the wrong thing. Seeing all these shootings across America, another weekend with this carnage, and then seeing Republicans not in the committee not banning assault weapons of war and these extended clips that hold 50 or 60 rounds of ammunition. When you leave that off the list, I think that, just because they're talking together, they're talking about it's a bipartisan. But the thing about it is that if you leave what's killing people off the list, you know. And then I also have to say something to my Black folks too. Black lives matter, and Black lives got to matter to Black people too. So if you have a dispute, don't kill each other. You ain't coming back tomorrow, okay? And people don't want to say it, but I'll say it. Black lives matter. Stop killing each other, okay? And also Congress, the Republicans, you know, the Democrats are so proud of what they've been able to accomplish. As far as I'm concerned, they're at the beginning, not the end. If they end with what they have on the table right now, it's not going to do anything.
No, that's not going to do anything
assault
for us.
weapons off the streets.
No. But also, you know, I do think too that that community, like you say, you have to get more involved and to continue to put the pressure. And like Washington State, they banned some of those magazines. They can't buy all that stuff, and they might lose at the Supreme Court, but at least they started it, or to be able to keep those out of their heads, because this is a killing machine. It has nothing. Even if you shoot a deer with that kind of weapon, you're not going to be able to use the deer if you're hunting. I mean, that's not a hunting rifle.
That's a killing weapon. That's what that is.
Killing weapon.
It's meant to kill multiple people.
America wants to go down as the killing country. I mean, Canada had some sense because they never did have a lot of guns in the community in Canada. I mean, it was like they didn't have a lot of guns. But America really wants to go down as a killing country. And then these people talking about, they got some kind of false notion that they're trying to rescue America because their ancestors are wanted about something. Well, the ancestors killed 18 million Native people. So if they okay with killing 18 million people, then I mean, I guess they're okay for wiping out all of us. But the mythology that they're using is not true. It's not true. It's not true.
Well, we have to also look at the fact is that Black people built the country for free. I'm just saying, we really start talking about how you going to claim something that you didn't build.
Well, but also that all of their ancestors wasn't here. These are people who came after the Civil War.
Exactly.
I mean, so their ancestors did not win America for them. These are the people who immigrated beginning at the late for manifest destiny after slavery and came in the 1800s, and then the rest of these people came at the turn of the century up until World War II, and then after World War II, in the late 50s, in the 60s and 70s, they started bringing in more Asians. So really, they're not telling the truth, number one, and because what they have to say is not truthful at all.
They want to dismiss 400 years of Black people's participation in this country, including dying in every war. And I guess 600 slaves joined the British when they trashed to burn the Capitol down in 1814. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you were enslaved, hell, I might have joined them too, to tell you the truth.
But yeah, because I'm
going to fight for my freedom. So, I could understand that. But the sad thing is we see the same racism always reemerging. Here we have, after the Civil War, we have Reconstruction. We have over 1,100 Black elected and appointed officials, two lieutenant governors of Louisiana, Secretary of State in South Carolina, Blacks in the Senate, Black in Congress, Black sheriffs in southern states, and Andrew Johnson make a deal with pull the federal troops out and turn the Ku Klux Klan loose. Then we come back to Martin Luther King Jr. and the Civil Rights Movement, and we got the Great Society programs aimed specifically to uplift Black people, Africans, African Americans. That's who those programs are aimed for. Child care, educational opportunities, manpower training programs, where SOIC came from, the Central Area Motivation Program. Anything a person needed to go into the middle class and uplift themselves was made available. Then in 1980, Ronald Reagan comes in and gut all the programs. They can call Ronald Reagan the greatest president ever. Ronald Reagan was a bigoted, and he had statements on the record of making anti-Black statements. They can praise Ronald Reagan all they want to, but he did a tremendous disservice to African descendants of the United States enslaved in this country. And when you really look at it, fighting for this country in segregated units, African Americans and African descendants of the United States enslaved are the most patriotic group of people in this country. And that's it. Now we turn back around and look at this racism fueled by Donald Trump. And we got a bunch of young white guys from all across the country, including Washington State. We have folks from Washington State also involved with
Washington
January
State
6th.
is always in the mix, man.
But the sad part is that all the folks that those judges that Trump appointed didn't give these guys 6. You try to overthrow the government and you get 6 months in jail. I mean, come on.
Well,
my brother's still asleep because he's going to get 2 years.
Well, that's because they weren't the black people there. Let's be real. I mean, even if it had been a black truck there, it had been black people getting out the truck there in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, they'd be finding some kind of felonies to arrest these people on. Right now, they're being arrested on misdemeanors. Okay.
Yeah, but if we go back to January 6th, the black captain of the Capitol Police said, "What if there had been Black Lives Matter people?" He said they would have been dead before they hit the first stair. That's right.
And that's what we know about this system. So our job is to keep the history alive and to keep working and to keep young people inspired. And that's why we're glad to see what what Detective Cookie is doing, because she's creating a new future with young people having to do something positive and knowing that they can make it in America. So anyway, I'm disappointed with the Democrats because I thought they came in with a bang and they could have done more. But they did not. I mean, they could have won some things here. He wanted to do bipartisan stuff, but he didn't secure the vote for the black people. He could have done that.
Reverend Harry,
he could have done that.
You're so right, because we have 22 people, including yourself, people in organizations that filed a discrimination complaint with all of the documentation, supported by Congressman Adam Smith, imploring the United States Justice Department, the Civil Rights Division, to investigate these documented complaints. And Merrick Garland and the Civil Rights Department sent the discrimination complaint over to the Department of Transportation. So I'm just saying, they take us, and I've shared this with several members of the Black Caucus, and hopefully one of them, they always say, if your local representative say something, we'll look into it. Okay, Congressman Adam Smith is not only our local congressman, he's also chair of the House Armed Services Committee, that person that has clout, but major chair. You would think that if you and I wouldn't have a chance if the chair of the House Armed Services Committee can make DOJ look into discriminations. So what does that tell black folks who have been discriminated against?
That's right.
And one other thing we got to deal with too, this myth about all minorities coming together, being in the same pot.
No, we can't
don't work.
That. No,
it don't work because of the fact there are too many people that have access to offshore money. They come from countries that have airlines, they have treasuries. And if you think for 1 minute, some of that money is not coming into here to help them.
We got to wrap it up.
Black folks don't have that same action, even though we've been here for 100 years.
We got to wrap it up, Mr. Rye. Sorry, we're running out of time right
always.
Now. But this is good. So we'll talk next week. I mean, the week after next. I'm taking Monday off. I'm taking Juneteenth off.
Juneteenth off. I hear you.
All right.
Happy Juneteenth to you and your listeners.
All right. Thank you so much. Same to you. All right, we listen to the Mother's Justice Show on 11:50 a.m. KKNW. I'm your host from Bouldin. I won't see you next week. I'm celebrating Juneteenth, but I'll be back the week after that. Thank you.